Pail half hour. This is where we talk about doing the work and what it takes to go after a big goal or dream, and no fudging around, man. This is what it takes to do the work. Lunch pail half hour. We put our nose to the grindstone, we do the work. We don't come up with excuses. Woo woo. Anyway, so I think what I was going to talk about today was going after your age, and what, like, being, for me, it's like I brainwashed myself that I'm 30 years old right here. I look at this, I have 3 or 4 of these signs around my apartment that I look at daily, and I brainwash myself that I'm 30 years old because that's when I think is my peak. It's what you would think is your peak physically and mentally. So your peak physically and mentally is around 30 years old. When you listen to professional athletes get interviewed, like professional basketball players, baseball players, those are the main 2 groups I've heard. Seems around 30 years old is where, that people think, the thought is that you mature mentally, you got enough mental toughness because you've lived some life, and physically, you're at your physical peak and your mental peak around 30 years old. So that's what I work on, brainwashing myself, is that I'm 30 every day. I'm looking at these signs, repeating it into my head that I'm 30 years old, and because I want to believe and I want to act like that, that I'm 30. And then what you believe with your mind, I believe, this is my belief, the body freaking tries to follow. The body's going to follow when you brainwash yourself that you're 30 years old and that you can do all these crazy extreme endurance events, and you're 30. And so your brain, your body will follow. I mean, I was talking to my friend Jessie, and she told me, the biggest thing that is the worst is people who are young in age but act old. That's the most horrendous thing I ever see. So what you want to do is you either young and you act young, or you're a little bit up there, you know what I mean? And you act like you're what. I just picked 30. 30 is the magic number. I just have heard people, that's one that I've heard professional athletes, that they all think their prime was around 30 years old. That was more basketball and baseball. Maybe football's a little younger, I would imagine, but that's their prime. So that's what I'm encouraging you to do, because if your mind thinks one way, your body's going to do everything it can to follow that. And if I think I'm 30, that means I can take on these crazy events, the most extreme events in the world I can take on, because I think I'm 30, and that to me means I'm in my prime. So woo, stay 30, stay in your prime for me, man. And whatever your age, where you're in your prime, that's what you got to be. Yeah, so I think when I realized I needed to create a 30-year-old mindset was when I would watch people. People are they kind of if the doctor says you're this age and you got to take this kind of medicine and these pills and all this, and they got this whole setup where you get to certain ages and this is what happens to you and your body. This is what happens to your body. This is what happens to your mind. These are the drugs you need to take. These are the drugs you need to be on. I'm on no drugs. No drugs. Woo woo. Because I'm 30. You don't need drugs at 30. But man, so they got this whole thing, and I could get brainwashed just as easily, with oh man, at this age, you got to watch out for this disease and this disease and this disease and this disease. I just go, I'm 30. I don't have to worry about any freaking diseases, man. I got time. Anyway, so yeah, I really have worked that hard. And I just, and the one thing I wanted to say, I was going to tell this story about how important it is for me to brainwash myself that I'm young like that. In my peak is that when I was climbing Mount Aconcagua, and it's the highest mountain in the Western Hemisphere, it's 22,800 feet. And they got medical checkpoints as you go up the mountain. I think there's like two of them. I can't remember exactly what altitude, but maybe 12,000 and 18,000. And you got to to go to the next, to keep climbing on the mountain, you have to pass, a medical checkup on this mountain, at these little medical tents that are set up on the mountain. And I remember I got up there to the first tent, and the guy he said, "How old are you?" And of course I said, "I'm 30." And he's got his fancy like white doctor outfit on. And he goes, "No, man, this is serious medical." And I know nobody's got their ID up there, right? None of us have our IDs. We're up on a mountain. We've been climbing for like 3 or 4 days. We don't have our IDs. And so I just looked at him. I go, "I am 30. I'm 30." And he goes, "This is serious." He kept asking me. I kept saying, "I'm 30." And then he finally goes, "Okay, 30." And he wrote it down. and then the funny part was I go up to the next medical checkpoint, and we had to, we're acclimating up there. So we're staying at some of these camps for a couple days. And by the time I get to this one up at 18,000 or 19,000, whatever it was, same doctor's up there. I walked up and he goes, "I know, 30." And he just wrote it right on the paperwork. So you can see that for me, it's super important to keep that age in my head. And that's the age for me. Now, you may have other ages that you think are important, or maybe you could think, just in general that I'm at my physical peak and my mental peak. I like to throw that age in there. It's just really important to me. Yeah, and it's funny. I did just have a physical for doing the English Channel, right? And they make you the English Channel. Yeah, you're not going to die from not having a physical when you go over there. So I had to go in and see the doctor, and the guy checks me, and he he checks me, and he calls over to the nurse to take, or no, it was the other way around. The nurse checked me, and she calls over the doctor to take a look at it, and they both look at like my blood pressure. 30. It was a fit 30-year-old's blood pressure, because that's what I constantly put in my head. And she said, then there was all these other tests they had, and they go, "Oh, we're not even gonna bother." They just wrote passed. A plus. Always wanted to be an A student. I got that on my physical. Does any, I know, yeah, so does anybody got any age? Does anybody have a different way or different age or thing that they can relate to, that they brainwash themselves that they're at their peak physically and mentally in life? Yeah. So yeah, and that's the main thing. Like I said, the body will follow what the brain thinks. Yeah, I think like yeah. I didn't understand that question. Do you think we can look at the age that we think we are? I don't know if you can look the age, and I think it would. I was always thinking that the universe wants me to look around the age that my whatever, the amount of times I've gone around this earth, with this, or the sun's gone around this earth or something, just to show that, that you can do anything at any age, man. It's just that I think that's important to me. So I've never gone out of my way to, I don't know. I just go out in the sun. I just do normal stuff. I hardly ever wear sunblock or sunscreen. I only do that when I'm on those crazy mountains like Denali, where And like, if you don't have that, if you don't have sunscreen all over you, they get mad at you, man. They don't want you getting burned up there on their dime, you know. So yeah, I think it's just the whole age thing is an attitude. It, you know, and it is, and I think anybody can brainwash themselves at any time. And I think it's whatever you want, but it's like whatever makes you feel like you're in your prime, whatever makes you feel like you could achieve anything, whatever that age is. I think that's what you go with. Other people, it might be older, it might be younger. I don't know. You know, it might be 21. But even though you can be for that age, like when you're, you know, you're 21 and all this, you're not. When I was 21, I wasn't very mentally. I wasn't together mentally at 21. I was weak. I had a lot of fears. You know, life hadn't kicked the crap out of me yet too much. You know, and it had, but not to the level it did by the time I was 30. I was getting more kicked out of me. So I was just tougher from life, you know. Yeah, I think for me it's critical. I can't go into these events thinking the O word, and you could guess what the O word is because I don't even like to say it. The O word. I can't think that I'm the O word. I have to think I'm young and spunky and 30. And I hear from that, you know, they go, "You do act like a 30-year-old." And yeah, those, yeah, or less, but I like 30. That's a good age. So yeah, I think for me, it's like, for me to have that mindset is extra critical, because I just know like a lot of stuff has been brainwashed into my head about what happens when you age, and it's not good, man. Like I said, you know, whatever we have, society wants you to feel old, act old, look old, take lots of drugs, you know, and I just want no part of that. I want no part of the drugs. I want no part of none of that. I want to act my age, 30, and I just want to attack all my goals. I don't want to have fears of that, oh, I can't do that at this age, man. Something terrible is going to happen, you know? And so I just keep like everything's 30 and everything's attack, because that's what you can do when you're 30. Eternally 30. That's me. Woo woo. I think, yeah, good question, Jesse. Is there a mistake that people, I think they believe all that they read or hear on the news or what happens when you're a certain age, you know, and that you need to be on these drugs and you need to be, you know, you need to do this and that and this and that, and you know, and you know, I think they get it brainwashed into their head from society that what happens at these different ages, you know, like what happens, and you know, like just like I hurt my knee running when I was up on Denali. I tweaked my knee a little bit. It hurt for like over a year, and but I you know, I looked at the knees over toes guy, and it's like you can heal your knee. You know what I mean? You know, anyway. Being 30 in my head really helped me heal my knee. So I've run like 45 minutes the last 3 days in a row, and a lot of that is just having that young mindset that I could heal this up, and I've really attacked going after my knee and going right after it with, like, you know, running and stuff, and running downhill and uphill and going up and down stairs, and you know, just going right at it. And I've strengthened it up, and it doesn't even, you know, like I said, it's just a normal use, not even a pain. It's more like, you know, just your routine soreness that I'm getting now. Yeah, so I think also, what's the difference between a 30-year-old who thrives and one who stays stuck? I mean, honestly, you have to have an attack mindset no matter what age you are. You know, so if you're like me, eternally 30, or you're just regularly 30, you know, you still got to attack. There's people who are regularly 30 who, like I said, they got that I'm a certain age, everything's already past me. I get shocked when I hear it. It's, oh man, I should have done this when I was younger. I should have done that when I was younger. And I'm going like, well, you can make yourself younger up here if you want, or you could just believe that at 30, that's your peak mentally and physically, and you could do anything at that age. Because I get a little shocked when I hear a legit 30-year-old say that, because I'm like, I'm taking on every challenge I can get myself into. Like I said, the tricky part sometimes is getting in, but once I can get accepted, I'm going, man. I'm going because I'm 30 and I got some life to live and I love attacking life. So yeah, that's, I think, like a 30-year-old mindset just means to me that I could do anything and everything that I set my mind to, and nothing is going to stop me from achieving my goals or going after my goals and attacking the hardest goals in the world. So yeah, I go into my sauna, at my club, and I go in there and we have people of all ages in there, and it's hot. That sauna's been hot. And you know who's got the record for staying there longest? This freaking 30-year-old. Woo woo! Because nothing stops me, man, because I'm eternally 30. Eternally 30. It's like Groundhog's Day when my birthday comes up again, that I'm 30 again. So that's what I'm encouraging you to do, is figure out that magical age where you believe that your peak is, or was, that you're going to brainwash yourself to go back there. You know what I mean, to that age where you're physically and mentally that, and you will put much bigger goals on your wall, if you do them on your wall like I do, or write them down, or have these, your what do they call those things? I never really liked that term, but anyway, your long-term goals are going to be huge, so I'm still working on getting on Everest. I just got to shake the piggy bank and get a little more money to come out. And, and right now I'm swimming, so I'm training for the English Channel. And then after that, I'm probably going to I might go back and do some mountain climbing again. And if I do mountain climbing, I always go for the biggest and the hardest. Well, it's definitely the biggest. I think there's other ones harder, but it'll kill you. Everest will kill you. And it's way up there. And I've had that on my goal list for a long time. So good thing I'm staying 30. Woo woo! I'll be summiting at 30. Jesse, any other questions? How can someone start thinking ahead and build the foundation for staying the mindset of 30? I don't know. I've had this 30 thing. I've had 30 years old written on my walls for I don't know, probably 20 years old, since I was 10. Woo woo! Always stay 30. Always stay 30. So yeah. So I think it is, you keep reading it. And one of the reasons that I did this was, about the brainwash in my head on this 30-year-old was because I remember Patty Hearst, back in the day, she was a billionaire's daughter who got kidnapped, and they brainwashed her, and then they saw it on like a bank, security camera, that she was one of the people who came in and robbed the bank, with a gun. And because she had been brainwashed, by the people who I can't remember the name of the group that kidnapped her. And they kept her for months and months and months. And they eventually brainwashed her that she was one of them. So I said, if a billionaire's daughter can be brainwashed to rob a bank, then I sure could be brainwashed that I'm 30, that I can stay 30 eternally. That's forever. Woo woo. Okay, and then and I think you can build your it's just a muscle that you build by doing things over and over again. The power of brainwashing. That's what Jesse just wrote there. The power of brainwashing. I'm big into that, man. You're constantly. I'm like. People say, things are 99% mental and you can do the things you do because it's 99% mental. And I always go, well, it's 99% mental if you're 100% physically fit. So you still got to go out and do the training. Like I was just up running for 45 minutes up on the hill. I'll be lifting weights later. So I'm still training like my 30-year-old brain and body say that I am. And yeah, I think if you think you're 30, I think you're a lot bolder in life than if you think you're old. The O word, where people are like, "Oh, you're going to try and do that? You're the O word." And I go like, "Well, I'm not the O word. I'm the 30-year-old word. Just ask the doctor up on Aconcagua. He'll tell you." And the physical I just got showed that I was 30 on my blood pressure. Like the guy was like, he was like jumping up and down about it, man. I think I got the record there. Woo woo. So I highly recommend. Yeah, I'm just big about the brainwashing, man. Keep the bad stuff out, of life if you can, as best as possible, and just keep putting good stuff in your head, which an age where you're physical and mentally at the top of your game, putting that in your head is pretty damn smart, I think, And then when you keep putting good stuff in your head, like what I do with my wall, all these as this wall goes way down there, and I put all these positive affirmations on my wall and positive people for me and people who inspire me, and then eventually positive starts coming out. All of a sudden you go like, hey, I could do that. I used to not think I could do that. Now I think I could do that. Because, that's the power of brainwashing yourself. Because you start thinking that, hey, I can do that. I can do that because you're just constantly putting that in your head that you can do it, you can do it. And then eventually you start acting like that. You know what I mean? You start acting like you could do it. You get the confidence. You put the work in, you do the work necessary. You're not making excuses. We never make excuses. That's part of being in the Lunchbox team. We don't make excuses. We just do the work and we don't make excuses. And if you do make excuses, sometimes I catch myself making excuses. And then I have to I got to take ownership as best I can and then attack, and go after that goal. Keep thinking I could do it. Keep attacking. And get those excuses out of my head, and definitely if I ever think the O word, that's definitely got to be pushed right out immediately, and put in that I'm 30, I'm at my peak, I'm at my prime, I can do anything. I mean anything, and that is what I think. I think I can do anything, if I get the opportunity to try. At least I could give a good shot at something for sure, So yeah, I'm swimming in the bay, and I made a 4. I was trying to swim 6 hours to qualify for the English Channel. I couldn't make 6. I only made 4. I made 4 hours and 60 degrees or less swimming. Twice it was like 58 degrees, which is cold. And what I think, because I'm brainwashed that I'm 30. Is I just need a little more training, and then I'll be able to get that 6-hour qualifying swim and beyond, because the English Channel is going to take 12 to 14 hours, that I just didn't give myself enough time to train in the cold water. So I'll be back out there, training in that cold water. I did a hour swim like last Sunday, but I'm just staying at it, and everything is based around my mindset that I'm at 30 and that I'm in my prime mentally and physically, and I can take anything on. And if I don't make it, I'm just going to come back again next year and try again. Do you know why that is? Because I'll still be 30 again next year. Woo woo! We never quit and we never age up. We just stay 30. Eternally 30. Okay, and what does emotional intelligence play in your 30s mindset? Wow, that's deep, Jesse. I like it, though. Emotional intelligence. Explain that a little better, Jesse, if you could, for me. As I'm blue collar and I carry a lunch pail to work. blue collar. We just get down in the dirt and we dig ditches and we do the work that's necessary to do the biggest extremist events in the world. Or whatever your big goal is, you do it too, blue collar. So yeah, I think, and it definitely having a 30-year-old mindset definitely helps me age-wise to like, like you're going to think you're at an age where you can handle things, emotionally. Yeah, and Jesse just asked also, like, yeah, I think it, inspirational positivity. I think like when you keep telling yourself you're 30 and you don't have to answer those age questions like what happens at this age? What happens at that age? What about this age? What new pill do I need to get on at this age? Well, I'll tell you what, and I think I already stressed this, but at 30, no pills. No pills. Woo woo. Okay. And then, yeah, I just, and like I said, I use brainwashing not just for my age, but it's everything around here. You can see up here, I got the Terminator. I went into one race, Arrowhead, and I had a Terminator hat on, like, nothing's gonna stop me. I'm the Terminator, nothing's gonna stop me. And the problem with that was I thought I wasn't gonna be stopped at all, and I go, oh, I don't need this checkpoint. I've been going for like 12 hours in the cold. It was like minus 35, and I blew right through this checkpoint without taking a break. And then I realized down the road that I must not be the Terminator because I felt like I was starting to freeze to death, and I had to stop. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm the Terminator, but I also need to take breaks every once in a while because I think even the Terminator had like a human side to him a little bit, So, but anyway, yeah, I'm constantly brainwashing my brain. It's like I never stop. I'm always brainwashing. I'm always like, and the 30 thing, I'm just like, I'll never admit I'm 30. I never do. I just go, I never admit that I'm older than 30. Or younger than 30 for some people who might think I look younger. I love you. But I'm always in that, that range. And I'm like, don't try and push me into a corner and get anything else out of me because you're not. And people get irritated at me. They're like, I go, and then I just point at my head. I go, I'm 30 up here. Because they get irritated. Like, really? What age are you? I go, well, I'm really 30 up here. So you can see I put on, it's like a big deal to keep myself young up there. Young and at my prime, man. It's a really, really big deal. And I'm not going to let anybody push me out of that mindset. I just don't. It's like I just keep hammering in up there. And I have this great life coach who works on me to keep my brain young too. Woo, 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 go Jesse. And yeah, I think Jesse wrote there, live naturally. And that is it, man. I really just, I think the sun's good for you. I mean, I get my share of sun. I do, I don't know. I used to like my vision started to get blurry and people go, that's because of your age, your vision's getting blurry, or whatever. And then it was like, I go, well, screw that. My vision, I think, is getting like not good because I'm wearing sunglasses all the time to protect myself from the sun. So I quit wearing sunglasses. I only wear those in extreme places, like there's a lot of reflective stuff on a snow-covered mountain where you'll go snowblind. But other than that, man, I just don't wear sunglasses, man. I believe I just take it on, man. And I'm in there, I'm nailing those things where they go, what way is this pointing? What way is that pointing? What way is this? And I'm nailing them at the DMV, man. They're like, dude, you got like, what's really good vision? 2010? I don't know. Don't get me wrong. So I don't know. But anyway, I pass those things with flying colors at the DMV. because I'm not gonna like I'm always 30, eternally 30. So woo woo, those E's are going like that. Woo woo. All right. Anyway, I think our 30-minute lunch pail half hour is winding down. So I want to thank everybody for getting online, and we're going to do it again next Tuesday at 3:30 Pacific time, the lunch pail half hour, and we're just going to we're learning how to take on these big goals, get in the dirt, do the hard work, and don't quit when we get any kind of setbacks. We just keep going at it. Woo woo, lunch pail half hour power. Woo woo. Thank you, everyone.